Today we're going to start a project called the Green City Project. Right? You are a group of city planners and you are challenged to build an environmentally sustainable city. Can anyone tell me why would we want to build an environmentally sustainable city? Anyone? Hey!
There's not enough energy for the future generation, and then they can't do things that we are currently enjoying. Also, there's global warming, and they may die from dehydration or other related problems. So I think we have to build a green city for this.
So not enough energy. So in your project design, you must really look at how we can tackle that issue.
We planned a series of lessons that combined mathematics and science together. Could you explain to me what were your reasons for integrating these two subjects when you were designing for collaborative learning to take place in your class?
The lesson is about designing an environmentally sustainable city. We wanted the students to be engaged in complex problem solving that cannot be resolved by just looking at the problem from a single discipline. The second reason is we want them to learn to work collaboratively. And that means that we want them to come together to be able to think of ideas, to build on top of ideas, and to make even better ideas as they work together as a group, which is a very critical 21st century competency.
The first one is that everyone should have a voice. So the reason why we want you to post your ideas on Linoway is so that every one of you will have a chance, to talk about how you would personally deal with that issue. I'm going to give you some time to go online and try to find out as many ideas about how people are trying to conserve the environment. To look at the issue of pollution, to look at the issue of renewable energy.
The first rule is everyone has a voice. So tell me a bit more. Why is this important for your students?
This rule is important to set an environment where every student owns their own learning and they feel that they can contribute to building up the group discussion. And in that whole very safe kind of environment, they can think about how they can belong to part of a group to solve a problem. So this is an important rule to start.
So this rule makes sure that everyone is able to contribute to the whole group learning. And how do you provide opportunities for them to voice their opinions or ideas?
We set up an online whiteboard on Linoway where students can go on the Linoway site and they begin to post ideas on that. In order to post an idea, they have to go and find information. They have to think critically about the reliability of what they are reading and to be able to summarize that information that they read and then post it on the board. So after an hour, we can see a board full of ideas where everyone has a voice.
So that's a result of an independent research.
The second rule is that no idea is bad. When I say no idea is bad, it means that when you find something, do not be so quick to discard that idea. Right? You might just want to post it down. You can think about it later, about how you can use that single idea.
The second rule you gave was no idea is bad. Why do you include this rule?
We want our students to not throw away ideas too quickly. And also give them the confidence. We see the quieter ones begin to speak up. And through that process and that discussion, they realize that there is actually no bad idea. So this rule is very important to set the culture or to set the frame of mind that we will look at every idea and we will consider, we'll take time to think about it, and we will not be too quickly throw it away.
Now the third rule we have is explain your reasons. So it's not just about going online and reading and then just copying and pasting. As you read and you find good ideas, I want you to think about how you can explain what you found. I want you to think about how you can sell that idea to your friends and tell them this is a great idea, we should use this in our design.
I was thinking about putting the water pipes in the open area in a snake-like manner so that it has more exposed surface area and sunlight will be able to quickly heat up the water. And my friend here asked me what happens at night? Would the water cool down? So I was thinking about it and the water could actually...
So how did you encourage the boys to be a bit more forward in expressing the idea, and then they have to explain why this is my idea? How do you encourage that?
From previous experience of group work, we found that some of the students are too quick to just take information and just use it without really thinking about it. So this third rule is kind of a background that is in the back of their mind as they read, as they find out information, to say that I will have to explain this to somebody else. And therefore it encourages everyone to really read and be able to think deeper about the issue, and then to be able to summarize it for themselves, and then to be able to explain to someone else.
So basically, it's about double glazed glass. Okay, this is a special type of glass with a layer of carbon dioxide in the middle, which allows light to come in.
Does the gas in between the two layers of glass have to be carbon dioxide, or can they be other type of gas?
It has to be an insulator of heat.
This rule helps set a very safe environment. They have to hold back a criticism, they have to hold back a negative comment, and then they have to think about how to phrase it as a question that will encourage one another to further develop that idea. You find that once that rule comes into play, you see a lot more questions being asked, you see the discussion further developing.
Was it difficult to help the students to reach a common consensus, because everyone has diverse ideas on how to get things done?
We allow them to ask each other questions, and then we get them to think about how they can extend the ideas of others. And then the last part is, after all these ideas have been discussed, how they can talk about the different ideas and to be able to bring to consensus. So we find that it's a very important part of that process, whereby disagreements or conflicts are being resolved. Each one of them feel greater need to explain, to justify, and to defend. And we found that through the whole process, we found that they come up with even better ideas.
For those who are less able to collaborate, so what did you do to help them?
We found that students are more comfortable asking questions about clarification, the consequence and implications. So I have to model questions that probe them about the assumptions. I have to ask questions about probing them for justification and evidence. I also have to ask questions that will cause them to think about the intention and beliefs behind the way people think. So by modeling those questions and highlighting them to the students and making them aware of a whole wider range of questions, it helps them think about better questions to ask. So over time, we found that the students are more comfortable asking those questions. So the second thing I did was, when they ask good questions, I would choose these questions and highlight them to the rest and say, this is a good question. And that encourages them to ask more good questions.
Okay, I really enjoyed the discussion that you had. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Okay, how many of you in your discussion, you actually found that you can build on your friend's idea and make that idea even better?
What I found is actually known as the concentrators. Okay, what these concentrators do is they absorb a specific amount of light from the sun, and that is being spread over a large area. Okay?
So this rule sets the foundation in which we get students to think about not only lots of ideas, but how they can use these ideas to come up with even better ideas. And that is something very critical in a very competitive global environment, where it's not just about whoever comes up with following the trend, but people who will come up with new trends and setting new trends and being way ahead of everybody else.
So these large areas actually contain solar panels. When the sunlight is being spread over the solar panels, they actually absorb a high concentration of it. So what happens is, because of this high concentration, electricity is being produced, and a whole lot of electricity is being summed up, and then after that it's being sent out to home appliances.
Okay, so the interesting part is this. A lot of you talk about solar panels. All right. So, but what he did was he found something and he actually talked about how he can use another technology to make it even better. So you have actually helped improve your friend's ideas, right? Okay. So it's
The sixth rule was exploring alternatives. Did you see that happening in the group talk?
We see that happening. Our previous encounters is one in which we have many groups, but they come up with only a certain number of ideas, and the ideas are so similar. So this rule helps them to think about, this is what I'm thinking. Are there alternative ways of looking at the problem? Are there other ways to solve the issue?
The area of one floor is 256 meters square, and each floor has 2 units. So the area of one unit is about 128 meters square. There are solar panels on the roofs to provide some energy to power the homes. Every building has large windows, allow more natural light to enter the buildings.
One of the students came out with this idea about building a condo beside the hospital. One of the students actually questioned him and say, wouldn't that cause the price to drop? Nobody wants to buy and nobody wants to stay near the hospital. Interestingly, one of the students began to bring out an idea.
Actually, I would personally buy more of those because if I ever fall sick, the hospital is just next door. I don't have to take a bus and infect everybody. So I will buy more because I think the price will go up for so we can sell it to the elderly.
That is something very heartening to hear, to see how the students are thinking about other ways of looking at the same issue.
We had a lot of arguments like where do we put the swimming pool or like the cafeteria. At first we decided on putting the swimming pool here, but then we thought that where we're gonna put the car park. So we put it back here and then it fit like perfectly. So we had to like squeeze everything.
Guys, I remember y'all said that the cafeteria would be able to sit the actual amount of people that go to the sports complex. So how do you actually determine how many people go to the sports complex and how many people will be actually going into the cafeteria?
I think the first thing that hit them was the whole notion of asking good questions. And that is important in a very globalized situation that we live in now, where you have to ask good questions that will probe further thinking about different issues. I think the second thing that they benefit is to work together as they see how some of these rules come into play to create a place where every voice is heard and how ideas get better as they think deeper and as they hear one another out. And the third thing I feel is building confidence. We require each one to own their learning. We do not want every member of the group to be sleeping or not contributing. We want each one of them to be actively contributing to building the group discussion.
So what challenges did you face when you tried to enforce all 6 rules?
I think the first challenge is students are very eager to get to the right answer. I think one of the things that we're working through with them is the journey to find the answer. It's not just about the right answer, it's how they see their ideas grow through that collaboration, through the discussion. The second challenge is the range of questions that we see they ask. We find that they are they tend to ask questions that are just clarification questions. They're just asking for evaluative, is it right or wrong? We want them to think a lot more about asking a wider range of questions. We want them to think deeper and ask questions about assumptions, about fundamental beliefs. I want them to ask about questions that test reliability. We want them questions to think about what really matters. So that is one of the challenges, getting students to ask questions. And we've seen through the discussion that through the modeling of teachers or just hearing the questions that their friends are asking, they tend to develop a wider range of questions to ask and to think about.